Well, hi everyone. It's me, Nicola. I hope that this is working, as technology isn't really one of my fortes, and certainly not with Scleroderma hands. But anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. At the moment, I can't see if there's anybody there, so I'll just chat away. Although I've been told that I'm having an audience built, so that's very nice. So hey, great to be here. Thank you so much to be here with me. And nobody would believe or be more shocked and blown away than myself that literally 18 years of attending the Royal Free Hospital at the Scleroderma unit and seeing Professor Denton and Dame Professor Carol Black, that I would be able to say that my skin is now cured from scleroderma. I can assure you this has not been an easy task. However, the whole journey has been extremely made a lot more comfortable, knowing that the best medical team in the world are in charge of my care. So although there is no actual per se cure, I have been able to show that with all the treatments that I have had, and I would like to stress at this point, I am now 12 years immunosuppressant and chemotherapy free. So as a personal goal, that was quite an achievement for me, as the first 7 years of diagnosis, thanks Paul, the first 7 years of diagnosis, I was taking chemotherapy whilst trying to realise my childhood dream career to be a female barrister. So on the 1st of March 2004, I achieved that goal, and that's when I decided, along with Professor Denton, he did have a bit of a say, that no more was I taking the immunosuppressants, because these are very toxic drugs. However, when you have a scleroderma diagnosis, time is of the essence. You cannot mess around. And that is why an early diagnosis is crucial for a scleroderma patient, as indeed it is for every rare disease patient. And of course, scleroderma is one of those recognised 8,000 rare diseases that we know about. Unfortunately, I'm sure there are thousands that we do not know about. So in relation to when I first walked into the Royal Free 18 years ago, I really felt as though my world had ended. However, I did know that all I wanted to do was to be in court in my wig and gown. So when I was in the ward on the Royal Free Hospital, on the harshest treatment and the youngest patient by half the age of the other patients, all I focused on was not the fact that the phlebotomist had taken over half an hour to try and get into my concrete skin to find a vein, and the pain was absolutely excruciatingly, agonisingly awful. I was focusing on the fact that I needed to get out of that ward and go and get my exams passed. And Professor Denton actually jokes that he feels as though that he should be called a learned friend now as well, because he was very supportive at the time of when I had to sit all of my exams, since my hands, although I am grateful that they have not become textbook sclerodactyl hands per se, and my heart really does go out to those patients whose hands have been affected in that their fingers have curled, and surgery so far is showing little, well, I suppose some positive progress that this can be reversed. However, surgery, again, for a scleroderma patient to be subjected to further surgical procedures, they are, in my view, putting their body, which becomes very fragile, putting their body to extra stress that maybe could be avoided if there were better treatments, and if the treatments had been prescribed on an early onset, so that the disease had not formed into a progressive state that was no longer reversible. So in relation to my situation, yippee, yes, my skin is back to normal, healthy skin. When I walked in, well, dragged myself into the Royal Free Hospital 18 years ago, because I was actually diagnosed 19 years ago and was told I had 15 months to live by that diagnosing doctor. So 12 months later, that's when I went to the Scleroderma unit, and this is why I am passionate that scleroderma patients are treated at specialist centres, because time, I think as I said before, is of an essence, is a luxury to a scleroderma patient to try and prevent any damage that may become life-threatening. In my situation, my skin was very aggressive. I couldn't stretch my arms out, I couldn't stretch my legs out, and it was quite worrying the time with which that this had all, the onset for which it had happened, because literally it came on within months. And then of course Raynaud's appeared. So Raynaud's is one of my biggest challenges now that the skin has been sorted. Although when I say that, I have written in my blog or my column for Scleroderma News some of the other challenges that I do have with my skin in relation to skin cancer and actinic keratosis, as well as Bowen's disease. So if you want to find out a bit more, please have a look at my my columns index there on the Scleroderma News website index there. So that's a little bit of where I'm at with the skin. So in relation to what else have I got going on, again, I feel very blessed and very lucky that I have minimal internal organ damage. And my heart goes out to my friends who are having lung transplants. We've got some brave, very brave scleroderma warriors in our global community showing us that lung transplants can work. Pressure, I'm thinking of you right now. And Alice, of course, in Switzerland. And of course, we've got Holly in the UK that has shown that a heart transplant can keep a scleroderma patient alive. So big up to Holly as well. We also know with some of the treatments that are available that they really are hit and miss. So what works for one patient might not work for another patient. And that is one of the difficulties for the medics when diagnosing and even treating a scleroderma patient, in that just the array of different symptoms that present on a scleroderma diagnosis. If you get a chance to go on my blog, you'll see that during June's Scleroderma Awareness Month, I made it feature towards in week 1 to make it available the EULAR and the ACR guidelines as to what would classify as a scleroderma diagnosis. So once diagnosed, it really is hit and miss with the treatments, and of course the treatments have to work quick to try and prevent any life-threatening or irreversible damage. So where the other systemic part of scleroderma comes in, which shows that scleroderma is not just skin deep, my situation is that I have chronic pain, musculoskeletal pain, which really none of the analgesics, none of the painkillers work, and liquid morphine is very nice. However, my head doesn't really appreciate being in la la land all of the time. And I'm sure all of my chronic pain fellow sufferers will totally understand with what I'm saying in relation to this being another unmet need, not just for the scleroderma patient, but for the chronic illness patient in general as well. So calcinosis remains one of my huge nemesis. I have it over my knees and elbows. However, I've found that since I've been taking Bosentan since the end of 2012, my skin, my calcinosis has improved. Unfortunately, telangiectasia, the dot-to-dot puzzle on my face, still remains a challenge as well. Professor Denton has offered the laser treatments and also collagen for my lips, which Scleroderma has decided to take away my my luscious, what used to be luscious lips. But again, from what I said before about surgery, that is my personal view, is that I do not want to subject my body to any really unnecessary further medical interventions if I do not have to. However, in relation to maintaining the symptoms, it really is a full-time job. So that includes, again, if you've been able to see on my column, I've written about my eureka moment when I changed my diet 4 years ago, changed my diet to natural smoothies and juices. So I had 2 juices a day, which for me is what I needed to take in nutrition and nourishment, because certainly when I was doing my law exams and doing my barrister stint, I wasn't really eating properly in the hope to try and prevent some of the symptoms that I was experiencing with my gastrointestinal system. So stomach cramps, frequent trips to the toilet, constant feeling of sickness. Again, this could be due to scleroderma, or it could have been due to the cytotoxic treatments, which I was still taking at that time. And certainly once I stopped taking those cytotoxic treatments, my stomach problems were still ensuing, which really was the reason for why in December 2012 I just thought, I've got to change this because I can't carry on feeling like this. I just felt so ill. No energy, lethargy, I just felt terrible. And also was constantly in my bed. So I try and avoid being in my bed now unless I really have to. But if you have to be in your bed, then you really must respect your symptoms. So I've tried to whiz through a little bit of my coping survival regime there. Over here in the UK, we are extremely blessed to have such a fantastic unit with Professor Denton at the Scleroderma unit at the Royal Free, but also the other medics around the UK, up in Manchester and Bath and Leeds, of course. So they, again, for patients, it really is imperative that we have medics that do cooperate with each other and work together for purposes of research. And this year has been a really great year in terms of progress for the scleroderma patient, as the BSR, the British Society of Rheumatology, have published guidelines for the treatment and management of scleroderma. So if you want to find the link for that, you'll find that on one of my articles in my blog. So in relation to what I would advise any scleroderma patient is that it's your journey. Nobody can say how long it will be till you will find your eureka moment, if indeed, of course, you do. And sadly, we all know, certainly in the scleroderma world, of several friends that have been very close to us, dear to us, and in fact one of mine, I'm sure, has groomed me to be sitting here now, to be talking about scleroderma and Raynaud's in such a matter-of-fact fashion, because I would never have believed a few years ago I would have been able to talk about this without really getting quite emotional as to the true devastation that this disease can bring, not just to your own life, but also to the lives of friends and family around you. So thank you, Anne Maudsley, for all you did, and your memory and legacy will remain and will live on. So as I said before, really it's a full-time job managing the symptoms. I have a daily routine with my diet. I also have a daily routine for maintaining my skin, which I call my mermaid routine. Again, I've blogged about this, so if you want more information. But in essence, I moisturise my skin every day in a warm bath. Hey there, my lady aorta friends in the Aortic Dissection Awareness UK. Great team there for raising awareness of another life-threatening, life-changing, damaging illness. So back to the mermaid routine, moisturising with liquid paraffin in the bath, and then once out of the bath I use hydromel cream to moisturise my skin. I'm very careful in relation to the materials, clothing materials which I wear next to my skin. Even though my skin is cured, it's still quite sensitive. When we say cured, the relation to that is the fibrosis is no longer there, as well as the tightness and itchiness has gone as well. So I can say how delighted I am about that, because even I didn't, well, did I believe it? I wanted to believe it, but hey, I've shown, if respect the symptoms that you are displaying, and along with the best medical team that you can have access to, scleroderma is not as serious as it used to be, and it can be and is an old disease as long as it's been caught early and damage has been prevented. Which of course then brings along to the access to treatments and innovative treatments, and of course research. Research is the next hope to there being your scleroderma patient. And again, we're working with our global community because they are now cooperating in relation to the European youth trial, and also we've launched this year Journal of Scleroderma and Related Disorders, which I've made the feature several articles. So if you get a chance to have a look at the journal and also if you're not into it's a big thing everyone. But if you content of the journal, the journal showing the number of different countries are collaborating with each other to try and improve the landscape for scleroderma patients and ultimately the cure which we all desperately need. So before, this is more than just a skin illness. The many are literally a long list, and again with patients displaying different quite people that makes to get to all of us. So all I can say now is well, thank you for doing that. I hope it's not sure whether it might help. But in relation to yourself, empowered and educated about your disease and your prognosis, then please follow sclerodermanews.com because they provide all of the most up-to-date scientific information. They have dedicated PhD students, scientists, research fellows that are using the material, so they know what they're talking about. And in relation to myself, I started a Just Giving page here for the Scleroderma unit at the Royal Free Hospital. So please, if you get time or for Christmas, if you fancy donating, I would be overjoyed to see the total. Well, it should be at £1,000, but we're just going to see one of the Just Giving about one of the donations. But it would be amazing to be able to get that total to at least 1,500 by the end of the year, because that could really help the unit, as well as all of the money will go towards funding research. No admin costs, no building costs. So please, if you can send just we go to Just Give information, that would be very greatly received. Okay, see you the next here. So amazing comments. Oh, if you've got any questions, please. Otherwise, I'll carry on being the Scleroderma parrot. I'm not sure how we're doing for time. Ah, maybe I've gone over. So, I can't see anyone putting any questions. Oh, I'll just put my fingers. So, and thanks to my pal Ali, I got a card today. We had to move locations to do this, so I realised God was actually in the backdrop to this. And these are our sisters fighting for a cure. If anything, really, as a parent, I'm definitely can't talk about scleroderma. I didn't want to talk about scleroderma. I just wanted things that made me feel good. So I advise that you can try and find something that way your mind for scleroderma is taking you to it. But momentarily that works, then please do. So thanks everyone to log out now. And please do comment, put your comment. Hey, hola, buenas tardes.